Hello, this is Pat Connolly, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the June 12th, 2026 issue of the Livingston County News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the first page, leaving a big impression, Louise Wadsworth to retire after 20 years of work on Livingston County's downtowns. Geneseo. It's sorry about that false start. Geneseo. It's easy to forget what some of the county's downtown buildings looked like 30 years ago. Locals remember scenes such as second and third story windows with broken panes of glass or covered with painted plywood, historic entryways, and ornate architectural details buried behind walls adorned with cheap siding, and most of all, the papered over windows of empty storefronts. So, how did Livingston County downtowns survive? The answer is simple: local support. The focused development of downtowns using state and local funds to beautify and reimagine the spaces as hubs for community life kept them alive. One of the key figures in that effort was Louise Wadsworth, who, after 20 years at Livingston County Economic Development, will retire this month from her award-winning work helping to preserve, restore, and invigorate the county's historic downtown districts. Wadsworth started out in the retail business in her family's camera shop in Martha's Vineyard. After an inheritance left her mother with a house on Main Street in Geneseo, she brought a store there, setting up a camera business in the historic home. This was the beginning of many lessons she learned about operating a business in a historic downtown. In Martha's Vineyard, a lot of the houses were turned into shops, so we thought nothing of it. But up here it was actually kind of strange, so I had to really work at it to get people to come up the stairs into this place that looked like a house, Wadsworth said. In the late 1980s, after getting married, she and her husband Will, current town supervisor and owner of the well-known historic Wadsworth homestead in Geneseo, decided to buy a storefront building downtown. The building, which would eventually become Pictures and Presents for 26 years, started out as a derelict building with people squatting in it, said Wadsworth. With help from the Association for Preservation of Geneseo, which had a program that paid for an architect to look at the building and offer advice, the Wadsworths renovated the building completely, but were unsure of what to do with the facade. So we had the architect come, and he did this little sketch and said, "This is how you should do this storefront." We gave the sketch to the contractor, and that's what you see today, Wadsworth said. We did a whole remodel of the building. We put 3 apartments upstairs and did the store, which was great, and kept expanding. We actually had 3 businesses in there at one time, but eventually the one store took over everything, she said, of the property on 53 Main Street. Over the years, Wadsworth worked with other merchants to promote downtown businesses and the Geneseo community overall. I always saw that in order to promote my own business, I needed to promote the whole, she said. That theory of local business put into practice the saying, "A rising tide lifts all boats," and it led Wadsworth to her next role as the downtown coordinator for Livingston County Economic Development. After 26 years of retail here in Geneseo, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to try something else, she said. An ad in the Penny Saver stood out to her, so she applied and was hired in a role unlike any other in the state. She would focus entirely on local downtowns. When the opportunity came about in 2005, the program was for both Livingston and Wyoming counties. While it took her some time to learn what the job would entail, she found that she was already skilled in the main aspects of the position, working with small businesses and finding grants to develop them. But what stood out most to those around her was her passion. Louise didn't just take a position with economic development, she poured her entire heart into the role, said Bill Bacon, Director of Livingston County Economic Development. Long before downtown redevelopment was on anyone else's radar, Louise saw the hidden beauty in our central business districts and made it her personal mission to bring them back to life, Bacon said. If you would like to hear the remainder of the article on Louise Wadsworth's retirement after long service to the downtowns of the county, please call 716-821-5555, and the remainder of the article can be read to you. Going on to the next article, Murray Hill Water Tower to undergo repair, Mount Morris. The water tower on Murray Hill in Mount Morris. The water tower at Livingston County's Murray Hill campus is set to undergo repairs by Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Group, a company based in Henderson, Kentucky. The successful bid for an amount not to exceed $310,000 was approved at the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors on May 27th. The tower, which services only the Murray Hill campus, will be drained, cleaned, and sealed. Repairs to handrails, walkways, ladders, and fencing will also take place, as well as proper grounding in case of lightning strikes. Water for the campus currently is supplied by the village of Mount Morris. The village gets its water from springs and wells, and the water is treated at a facility on Sand Hill Road. What happened was, we began exploring what water infrastructure looks like for the future of the campus, said Livingston County Administrator Shannon Hillier. Do we change the way we use water out of the village of Mount Morris and improve the system that way? Or do we actually think about a new connection with WASA's regional project that would involve running water across the river? So those were big decisions that couldn't be made quickly, Hillier said. In the meantime, the county decided to repair and upgrade the existing water tower. An assessment was completed by Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Group last fall to determine the tower's needs. The county weighed the proposed repairs and upgrades and decided which suggested corrections might be niceties and not necessities, said Hillier. Once we had the results of that, we decided to move forward with critical repairs to the water tower, as well as a mixing system, which we had never had before. The mixing system, Hillier explained, allows the tank to be filled to capacity, turning and stirring the water to improve the water quality. Having a greater quantity in the tank also gives the local fire departments a greater ability to suppress fires on the campus if they were to occur. Funding for the repairs were not budgeted per se, but money was reallocated from a 5-year capital improvement fund, so the project would not have to be paid for by a municipal bond. Cutting the article off there, and if you would like to hear the remainder, call Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 716-821-5555. From page 2 of the June 12th Livingston County News. Election 2026. Early voting begins Saturday in Livingston County. Early voting for the June 23rd Democratic primary begins Saturday in Livingston County. Only the Democrat Party has a primary. In Livingston County, there are primaries for congressional representative, state comptroller, and state senator. Early voting is a 9-day period where voters can vote in person before Election Day. Registered Democrats in Livingston County may cast their vote during the early voting period. The early voting poll site is at the Livingston County Board of Elections, 6 Court Street, room 205-208, Geneseo. Early voting dates and hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on June 13th, 14th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on June 16th and 18th. For Congress, the candidates for the 24th Congressional District are Alyssa J. Ellman and Diana K. Kastenbaum. In the state Senate race for the 54th Senate District, the candidates are Scott Comagis, and Michael Mills. There are 3 candidates in the primary for comptrollers: incumbent Thomas P. DiNapoli, Drew Warshaw, and Raj Goyal. Possibly Goyli. I think Goyal. Residents have several options to cast their ballots, including absentee voting, early voting, or voting in person at one of the many polling places available across the county on primary election day, June 23rd. For more information on polling sites, absentee voting, or early voting, visit the Livingston County Board of Elections website or call 585-243-7090. 585-243-7090. There are 3 obituaries in the June 12th issue. I'll simply read their names. They are Vincent M. Levy, Levey, possibly Levy, George V. Wigand Jr., Wiegand, Vigand, I don't know, and Marcia R. Falconberry. Oh, sorry, there's another one, Frank A. Mully. If you want to hear these obituaries, please do call, and we will read them to you. 716-821-5555. From page 5, EPA to oversee continued cleanup work at Lehigh Valley Railroad Superfund site, from Leroy. Several stages of soil cleanup and monitoring were scheduled to begin this May and June at the site of the Lehigh Valley train derailment off Gulf Road. The work at the 56-year-old Superfund site will be done under the oversight of the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, according to a community update published to the EPA website in late April. The EPA finalized its cleanup plan for the site in 2023. The cleanup work is scheduled to continue through the summer and into the autumn. The document states the project will, quoting, remove above-ground piping from past cleanup activities to clear the way to take additional soil samples to determine how much contaminated soil needs to be removed in the former spill area. The update states the work will be done by the Lehigh Valley Railroad Company. The railroad became defunct in 1976 when it was merged into the Consolidated Railway Corporation. It was not immediately clear if the Lehigh Valley Railroad Company stated in the update was a legal remnant or successor. After testing the rocky material in the area, soil with elevated levels of trichloroethylene, or TCE, will be dug up and removed. The contaminated material will then be sent to, quoting, an approved off-site facility for disposal, while a cover will be installed on areas with lower levels of TCE, quoting again, to prevent people from contacting the contaminated soil, the document says. And I will abbreviate that article there. On the same page, page 5, Daughters of the American Revolution to host Flag Day in Avon. Avon? It's Avon, right? The Skahesgao chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution will host a Flag Day event from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday, June 14th at the Avon Veterans Hall, 5480 Avon East Avon Road. This event has already taken place. Well, let's get a little bit more of it. As part of the series of America 250 celebrations planned by the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution chapter this year, the Flag Day event will include a flag retirement and education ceremony at 1 p.m. The event will also include vendors and a concession stand. Abbreviating there. Rabies fear, this is from page 6. Raccoon tests positive for rabies in spring water. A raccoon has tested positive for rabies in the town of Springwater, reports Livingston County Public Health Director Jennifer Rodriguez. The positive test was confirmed June 2nd by a State Department of Health laboratory, Rodriguez said. One person was potentially exposed to the rabies virus by the raccoon and is receiving treatment to prevent infection, according to Rodriguez. This is the second animal in 2026 to be reported positive for rabies by the county health department. A raccoon also tested positive for rabies in February in the town of Lima. An individual was also potentially exposed to the rabies virus and received treatment, the health department reported at that time. In 2025, 4 animals were positive for rabies, according to data compiled from news releases issued by the county health department. Skipping a little, all potential rabies exposures should be reported to the County Department of Health. The department can be reached by phone at 585-243-7270, 585-243-7270. Also, and skipping a little, free rabies clinics are offered for dogs, cats, and ferrets every year in Livingston County. For information on clinic dates, contact the health department at 585-243-7290 or go online to livingstoncounty.gov/932/ rabies C clinics. Abbreviating the article there and going on to another one. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 12th Livingston County News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From page 17, A Deeper Understanding, Retired County Historian's Book explores deeper understanding of Murray Hill, Mount Morris. Retired Livingston County historian Amy Alden went down a lot of rabbit holes in the research for her new book about Murray Hill. Some of those in-depth topics included trade with China, the opening of Japan, and the history of Native Americans in the Oklahoma territories. But Alden kept her book focused on what was relevant for the people of the county, a mark of a true local historian. I had to pull back in what I included in the book because I wanted to keep the focus on the history of Murray Hill. There were so many influences and people and events that came together, but I felt like if I went too far off track, I would lose my audience, Alden said. I wanted to keep it as relevant as possible, but I also wanted to make sure that I had covered all my bases, she said. Alden, along with current Livingston County historian Holly Watson and Deputy Historian Madeline Friedler, hosted a book signing June 4th at the Murray Hill Auditorium to celebrate the release of Alden's book, The History of Murray Hill, An Ideal Spot. I had intended to update this booklet that was done 30 years before, maybe longer. So she began, said Alden. So she began to collect thousands of articles, documents, and photos, anything with information related to Murray Hill. She visited repositories, did internet research, and traveled across the state to places such as Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Ithaca, Cazenovia, Albany, and New York City. All had major collections that had been donated over the years that related directly to Murray Hill. So I was fortunate that the county supported that kind of research, Alden said, and it sort of ballooned from there, she said. One surprising discovery in Murray Hill's history was the role women played in its ownership and preservation. At a time when property ownership was largely associated with men, this was an unusual situation. After 1860, for the 50 to 70 years between that and when it became a tuberculosis hospital, the women owned the property, Alden said. Many of these women inherited wealth from their families and took responsibility for managing Murray Hill. In my mind, it's probably why it lasted as long as it did, the maintaining of a property like this, well over 200 acres, said Alden. According to Alden, one of the most significant chapters in the property's history was from the 1830s to the 1930s. During those years, the estate served as a home and seasonal retreat for several prominent families, many of whom had strong ties to Buffalo. I really enjoyed chronicling the people that lived here before as a gentleman's estate. They were so interesting and well known beyond this little place, said Alden. Although Murray Hill included working elements such as sheep and horse farming, it was also a place of leisure. For many of its owners, this estate provided an escape from city life and an opportunity to enjoy the scenery and quiet of the Genesee Valley. I'm abbreviating that article here, and if you would like to hear the remainder, please call Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 716-821-5555, and staff will read it to you. From page 7 of the Livingston County News of June 12th, Livingston County offers bus option for upcoming honor flight mission, Mount Morris. Livingston County Veteran Services is partnering with Honor Flight Rochester to offer a ground bus option to Washington, D.C. for local veterans who want to experience the nation's capital without having to fly. Designated as Mission 98, the trip will take place October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2026. Veterans and their guardians will depart from the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport by bus and join the Rochester Honor Flight participants in Washington, D.C. Veterans and their guardians are requested to sign up for the trip by June 15th and include M98 bus under the Additional Health Concerns section of the application. Mission 98 is going to be another first of its kind for Honor Flight Rochester, said Livingston County Veteran Services Director David Terry. We have heard many veterans say they want to go on an honor flight, but either don't want to fly or physically cannot. We wanted to take away that barrier to allow as many veterans to experience this once-in-a-lifetime trip as possible. Those traveling by bus will return to the airport in Rochester in time for the traditional homecoming ceremony on the tarmac, a trip highlight for many veterans, said Terry. The Honor Flight Network is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to transporting America's veterans to the memorials in Washington, D.C. that honor their service and sacrifice. Mission 98 honors Honor Flight Rochester's 98th mission and falls during America 250, the nation's 250th anniversary celebration. Cutting that article there, except to say, to apply, veterans must request a seat by June 15th at this web address, which is https://honorflightrochester, all one word, .org/ and include M98 bus in the Additional Health Concerns section of the application. Again, it's https://honorflightrochester as one word .org/ and include M98 bus in the Additional Health Concerns section of the application. From the sports page, NYSPHSAA Golf, Cal Mums McArdle caps stellar season with 25th place at state championships. Churchville, Caledonia Mumford sophomore Liam McArdle capped off a stellar season Monday as he competed at the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Golf Championships at Mill Creek Golf Club in Churchville. The two-day 36-hole championship tournament featured the best 99 golfers in the state from all 11 sections and was played Sunday and Monday. McArdle ended tied for 25th overall out of a 99-player field, which also placed him third best among the 9 Section 5 representatives at the tournament. He opened with a +677 and was tied for 31st after day one on Sunday. He came back Monday and carded a round of plus 3,74, which included an eagle on the par 5 505-yard fifth hole to climb 6 spots on the day and finish with a 2-day total of 151 parentheses plus 9. McArdle was the first Raider to make the state championship since 1982. Liam had an unforgettable weekend at Mill Creek. Kelmum head coach Steve Gaffney said, "A top 25 finish at States is an amazing accomplishment. His irons and driver were dialed in, and that gave him great looks at birdies all weekend. At a links-style course with plenty of heather, he was still able to keep the ball in play and out of trouble. He caps off one of the most impressive single seasons in Livingston County history with an LCAA individual championship, team sectional championship, shooting 70 in the finals, and a top 25 finish in the state championships. I'm glad I get to be along for the ride for 2 more years with him." That was quoting the coach. Also from the sports page of the June 12th issue of the Livingston County News, Section 5 Outdoor Track and Field. Fleming, Aguilar, Maldonado, headline 22 LCAA Qualifiers 2, NYSPHSAA Class C Championship Meet. New York State Public School, something like that. Caledonia. It was an action-packed day at the Caledonia Mumford High School for the Section 5 Class C State Qualifier Meet. In total, 22 athletes, including all relay event participants, punched tickets to the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Track and Field Championship Meet at Webster Schroeder High School. New rules this season meant there were 3 ways to qualify. All event winners at Saturday's meet earned an automatic spot at the state championship meet. If an athlete finished second and reached the at-large mark, a 3-year average of 8th seeded Division II or 6th seeded Class C NYSPHSAA competitors in the event, they would also advance. Finally, if an athlete reached the Super Standard, a 3-year average of 5th seeded Division II or 4th seeded Class C, what is this? New York State Public High School SAA, Public High School Athletic Association competitors at any point during the season and finished in the top 5 at the qualifier meet on Saturday, they would also advance to state competition. This was a change from previous years when all athletes who reached the Super Standard qualified regardless of their finish at the state qualifier event. Bath, Haverlings, Colton, Fleming was the big winner of the day, qualifying in 2 individual events. Fleming advanced in both boys' hurdle events. He achieved the Super Standard and the 110-meter hurdles earlier this season at 14.97 seconds and took 3rd Saturday with a time of 15.38 seconds, while taking 2nd in the 400-meter hurdles with an at-large qualifying time of 56.95 seconds. There were 9 other individual event qualifiers of the day, which included 6 event winners. Leroy's Connor Elmore took the high jump title with a winning leap of 6 feet 4 inches. Elmore had already achieved the Super Standard with a previous best of 6 feet 6 inches. Caledonia Mumford Emma Brogan punched her tickets to states for a 2nd straight season, winning the triple jump with a season best jump of 37 feet 8.5 inches. Geneseo's Olivia Bucci took the girls' pentathlon with a score of 2,728 points. Keshequa's Riley Nageldinger ran a season-best 1 minute 4.06 seconds to win the 400-meter hurdles. Hornell's Selena Maldonado posted a personal best performance in the long jump of 17 feet 11.75 inches to grab the win. Wayland Cohocton's Celise Wicker won the 1,500 meter in 5 minutes 4.78 seconds to earn an automatic berth. I have to cut it off here as we are out of time. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 12th issue of the Livingston County News. Your reader has been Patrick Connolly. Thank you for listening.